Okay, so hello. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Sasha Kelchev-Korn. I'm Executive Director here at Realm of Caring. And today Realm of Caring is joined by Dexter Rice, who is founder of NuuMe Organics. He grew his company from a purpose and from a small piece of land into an organically farming, processing, and manufacturing hemp company based here in Colorado. He's here today to talk to us more about hemp regenerative farming, producing organic products, and about some of those minor cannabinoids that are found in some NuuMe products. Thank you, Dexter, for joining us today. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, well, and like I said to you earlier, this is really exciting for me because it's very rare that we get to see this side of the industry, the farming side. We talk about the end product, we talk about benefits, we talk about research, but understanding the source is just as important, understanding the quality and what it is that people are consuming. So I'm really glad that we're able to talk about this from an expert or learn from an expert. And so for everybody who is joining us today, we will have that Q&A box that you can type in questions. And we also have a list of questions from our community that we will be asking towards the end of the webinar. So feel free to ask your questions for us here. And Dexter, I'll let you take it from here if it makes sense to go into the farming side of things. However you want to run this show, I will follow your lead.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Sasha. Appreciate that. I will go ahead and bring up the PowerPoint here. All right. Is that visible for everybody?
Looks great.
Okay. Hello to everyone out there viewing. I appreciate your time and attention. I am Dexter Rice, founder and CEO of Dexter Labs, which encompasses the brands NuuMe Organics, creating consumer-ready organic hemp extract products, and Sub-Zero Extracts, supplying bulk organic hemp extract and organic manufacturing services. I started this company in late 2014, which means it's coming up on 9 years now that we've been in service of this great plant. It has been tumultuous at times with the legislative landscape and the market fluxes, but it's been an extremely rewarding journey helping this amazing plant reach people in its holistic form. We are fully vertically integrated, as Sasha mentioned, the whole way from breeding the plants to bottling the finished product. Plus, I've had formal training in regenerative agriculture, so I'm well suited to discuss today's topics of regenerative hemp farming and producing organic products with minor cannabinoids. And then we'll have some discussion on CBN.
Sounds great.
All right, that should have flipped screens. Okay, conventional versus regenerative versus organic. What is the difference? Conventional agriculture generally ignores the mutual relationships of plants with soil microbes. It looks at the soil as an inert, lifeless substrate and uses soluble chemical fertilizers to try and feed plants directly. However, a plant must be viewed as part of an ecosystem. If we view this ecosystem holistically, then our primary pursuit must be to feed and nurture the soil microbes, which will in turn feed and nurture the plants. Regenerative farming's core goal is to regenerate and nurture this soil ecosystem. The complex web of soil microorganisms, which consists primarily of bacteria, fungi, nematodes, and microscopic protozoa. Minimizing soil tillage and maintaining soil cover are the cornerstones of regenerative farming. Diverse planting, crop rotation, cover crops, and animal integration are the other pillars of regenerative farming. Organic farming, on the other hand, as defined by the National Organic Program, is not as much a system of practices as it is a system of restrictions. Organic farming excludes the use of inorganic chemicals such as fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides. Now, can you have regenerative without organic or vice versa? Yes, you can. Organic but not regenerative is how most organic produce is grown these days. No inorganic chemicals are used, but tillage is frequent and intensive. It is usually used for weed control in addition to field preparation. Regenerative but not organic is possible, but inherently limited. Reducing tillage and maintaining soil cover are a great start to recolonize the soil ecosystem, but the use of chemicals limits how healthy the soil can become. Every time chemicals are applied, the soil ecosystem is severely damaged and must be regenerated. Using an organic approach in a regenerative system is the most effective way to achieve peak soil health and therefore peak plant health. Regenerative and organic farming is important for two primary reasons. The first is stewardship, the impact farming has on the land and the broader ecosystems. Second is therapeutics, maximizing the nutritive and therapeutic potential of the plants grown. For stewardship, I think we all realize that taking care of the earth we live on is extremely important for the future of all living creatures. Organic practices stop the use of chemicals which contaminate our soils and water systems. A prime example of the impact of agrochemicals are the ocean algae blooms and accompanying ocean life die-offs resulting from nitrogen fertilizers leaching from farms. Regenerative practices keep the soil healthy and productive, supporting a huge array of organisms. Regenerative practices also work to capture CO2 and restore the carbon content of the soil in the form of organic matter. As far as maximizing the therapeutic potential of plants, why is peak plant health important? Because healthy plants make healthy people. Hippocrates, widely considered the forefather of medicine, said it best, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." But why does food not seem to be as medicinal in our world today? Beyond the issues caused by food processing, preservatives, excessive salt, and refined sugar, food just doesn't have nearly the nutrient density that it used to. Modern food systems reward yield, not nutrient content or therapeutic value. Unfortunately, this is the reason the food in our grocery stores is not nearly as health promoting as it used to be before modern market forces and long distance food distribution. Farmers are forced through economic pressure to use crop inputs and techniques that increase yield size and weight, but they usually cannot afford to put resources into increasing nutrient density. Macronutrients are replaced each year, but micronutrients usually dissipate to very low levels over time. What are plant nutrient density and secondary metabolites? The plant nutrients we are concerned with are the vitamins, minerals, and secondary metabolites our bodies need to heal and thrive. Plant secondary metabolites are what we often refer to as active compounds, which are found in plants and exert pharmacological effects on the body. For example, the curcumin found in turmeric or the cannabinoids found in hemp and marijuana plants. As for the types of secondary metabolites, the primary classes of secondary metabolites are terpenoids, alkaloids, saponins, lipids, and phenolic compounds, including flavonoids. As for secondary metabolites in cannabis, cannabis, both as hemp and as marijuana, is extremely rich in secondary metabolites. Cannabis, along with a few other plants, produce another important class of secondary metabolites, the cannabinoids. And we all know how important these are. However, cannabis produces many more secondary metabolites than just cannabinoids. Data shows that cannabis produces a wide range of terpenoids, flavonoids, and sterols, which all contribute significantly to its tremendous therapeutic value. Now we will connect these concepts and explore why regenerative farming is important for secondary metabolite production. As the term secondary metabolite implies, these compounds are not the plant's first priority. They only occur in copious amounts if the plant is in peak health. Peak health can only be achieved if all necessary minerals are available to the plant. Natural ecosystems are truly amazing. Plants evolved in the soil ecosystem alongside soil microbes in a heavily interdependent system of mutual exchange and benefit. Plants use photosynthesis to produce carbohydrates using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water, and then they exude a portion of these sugars through the root system with microbes in exchange for minerals. Microbes help plants uptake minerals in two main ways. First, microbes extend the reach of the plant roots. It is possible for fungi mycelium networks to transport minerals over relatively long distances to exchange with plant roots, effectively multiplying the reach of the root system. Second, microbes facilitate absorption of more difficult minerals, such as micronutrient minerals. Plants have difficulty directly absorbing many minerals, such as iron, manganese, and copper, making them effectively unavailable to the plant. They must be in a chelated form in order to be effectively absorbed. Soil microbes deliver nutrients to plants in this chelated, easy to absorb and utilize form. Therefore, a rich soil microbiome is paramount to peak plant health, peak secondary metabolite production, and peak therapeutic potential. To put it simply, organic regenerative farming produces the most therapeutically valuable hemp. Now moving on to the product side of the equation. We've established how to maximize the hemp plant's secondary metabolite production. Now we're going to talk about how to get as much of those therapeutic compounds into finished products as possible. These days, anybody can use heavily refined isolates to add minor cannabinoids, but this means consumers are forced to ingest residual levels of harsh solvents like pentane and hexane. Creating organic, chemical-free products with minor cannabinoids starts with the plant genetics. Hemp cultivars with strong profiles of minor cannabinoids must be used. Unfortunately, a large portion of the CBD hemp varieties available have been bred to maximize CBD content at the expense of the other cannabinoids and secondary metabolites. Here on our farm, we have been breeding our own varieties for almost 9 years to be rich in a full range of minor cannabinoids and metabolites. Then, these ideal hemp cultivars should be grown in an organic regenerative way in order to maximize active metabolite production. Harvesting the plants must be conducted with methods that do not degrade the active components contained. The best method is to harvest and gently dry whole plants. It is much faster and easier to run large harvesting machinery through the field that chops the entire plant into small pieces and then run that material through an industrial dryer, but that releases and destroys significant active content. So really it should be avoided. On to extraction. The methods of extraction and refinement are of the utmost importance. As you are most likely aware, CBD isolates have been scientifically proven to be much less effective than full spectrum extracts. This is not only because of the lack of minor cannabinoids, but also the lack of other secondary metabolites we discussed, such as terpenoids, flavonoids, and sterols. Products made with strictly isolates are completely devoid of these components, and even many products marketed as full spectrum are actually quite low in these components. The full spectrum distillate fallacy. In the current hemp industry, the term full spectrum distillate describes a distilled extract that has THC and has not undergone remediation. However, it is a fallacy to call an extract that has undergone fractional distillation full spectrum, because the distillation process uses extremely high heat to vaporize the extract and separate its different components. Therefore, some secondary metabolites are excluded and some are destroyed by the amount of heat used. Many products on the market labeled full spectrum use distillate extract because it is lighter in color and flavor, creating a more appealing product. These products meet the claimed amount of cannabinoids, but they lack the therapeutic potential of products made with holistic extracts that have not been distilled. Maximizing secondary metabolites. When comparing extraction methods, ethanol extraction is the most reliable method of holistically extracting the full range of secondary metabolites found in hemp. When organic ethanol is used instead of denatured alcohol, the trace amounts of residual solvents are harmless. Ethanol is the natural product of fermentation, and far more ethanol is ingested from eating overripe fruit or juice left out of refrigeration than from ethanol extracted hemp products. Ethanol extraction has a long legacy of use reaching back hundreds of years. CO2 extraction has gained a lot of popularity. However, it generally does not produce a holistic extract, including the full range of secondary metabolites because of the chemically selective nature of CO2 as a solvent. Creating palatable and presentable extracts. Ethanol is a very powerful solvent, so it is very easy to over-extract the hemp plant, the result of which is an extract that is very dark in color and has a strong bitter flavor. It is possible, though, to extract all of the desirable secondary metabolites without extracting too much undesirable content, such as excessive chlorophyll, which imparts a dark color and intense bitter flavor. The process I designed at Dexter Labs utilizes custom-built equipment to ensure the biomass extraction and filtration occurs at extremely cold temperatures. And it also ensures that contact time between ethanol and biomass is very low, and it is completely filtered quickly. Solvent evaporation and decarboxylation is then conducted under deep vacuum to avoid any unnecessary heat exposure. Using these techniques, it is possible to make truly holistic full spectrum extracts with maximum amounts of all the secondary metabolites that are also palatable and ready for finished products without fractional distillation. Additional methods to maximize therapeutics is spectrum stacking. Something that has proven to be extremely powerful is what I like to call spectrum stacking. This is when we use extract from a number of different compound-rich hemp cultivars together in one product, effectively stacking their different spectrums together. This can be done with CBD-dominant hemp varieties, or it can also be done with a combination of varieties dominant in different cannabinoids. For example, NuuMe has several products containing high levels of both CBD and CBG, or CBDA and CBGA, and we're working on CBD plus CBDV. These products contain full spectrum extract from high CBD strains plus, for example, high CBG strains, and they have proven to have a tremendous amount of therapeutic value. We have had a number of new customers switch to NuuMe's stacked spectrum products from the most well-known full spectrum brands, and soon profess to us that they are experiencing results that surpass all of their previous experience. Really fantastic feedback to receive. So that's about all I have on those topics. I don't know if there's any questions on any of those topics.
So yeah, I have some that were previously asked, but I think also it would be great to know, so your knowledge base is just so vast. Did you come into the industry, just so our community can get to know also you a little bit more? Did you come into the industry before you made a plan to make a grow and farm, knowing all of these components, knowing that this is the methodology you wanted to use in your company? Or was it learned along the way? Was it a combination? Tell us a little bit about your background and getting into it.
Sure. It's definitely been a long learning process. My previous experience was primarily in cultivating medical marijuana. So I was always just on the grower side and didn't get into products a whole lot. So I had an intimate relationship with the plant and a lot of experience reading the plant and learning how to make it the most happy. But then translating that onto an outdoor farm, because previously, the experience was an indoor container cultivation, and translating that into scaled agriculture and building organic soil was a huge learning curve. So, but the training in regenerative agriculture was really enjoyable, kind of learning how it works and why it's so important in so many ways was really, really interesting for me. And then the journey of exploring extraction techniques and everything on the processing side was definitely just a long journey of one step at a time, a lot of research, a lot of experimentation, getting a lot of feedback from the products that we've tried out.
Very cool. I love how you say learning how to keep the plant happy. I think that's so sweet. And I took a lot of notes while you were talking to me. I'm going to be going back and rewatching this for sure. It's just also fascinating. And one question that came up was about sustainable farming. So we hear about sustainable farming just a lot. I think it's, a buzz topic. And then one of the newer buzz topics, I guess, is regenerative farming. Is there a difference between those two types? Are they sort of one and the same?
Sorry, between regenerative and what was the other term?
Sustainable. Or is this like a sustainable practice, or is that just kind of like a buzzword that that we see?
when I first started the regenerative agriculture training, there was a kind of a funny comment that one of the teachers made on that is, if you think about in terms of your personal relationships, do you want them to just be sustainable or do you want them to be regenerative? I think the concepts are both essentially driving at the same thing, but regenerative is really a much better term to describe the goal, because the fact is that a lot of the farmland in the world today has been significantly degraded due to conventional farming practices. And so now it's our duty to regenerate the soils and bring it back to where it really should be,
Is
to a more
industrial hemp
natural approach.
so is industrial hemp the future to bring our earth back to happiness?
Sure, absolutely. But it doesn't stop there. There's
Sure, of
only
course.
as, so many acres in hemp and far more acres in collectively in all the other crops. So regenerative agriculture needs to be applied to all farming.
Yes. Wow, that's really great. And so a couple of questions that were asked previously by our community. One of them was, if hemp is a remedial plant, how does one know that toxins won't end up in the products, or how do you get transparency on ensuring that those, anything that it's soaked up from the soil that's bad for you has been removed from the plant?
Sure. That I think there's two main components to that. One being knowing the history of the land, knowing if there's any buildups of certain chemicals. They could be things from conventional agriculture. They could be, herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers. They could be heavy metals. And as we know, hemp is very good at pulling all of that out of the soil. And so there are some chemical processes that extracts can go through to remove some of these components if they are taken up by the plant and then extracted. But in in my opinion, it's really best to use the plant for its remediation capabilities, and then dispose or use the hemp in ways that is not going to be ingested until the soil is clean.
Mm.
Things like hempcrete or all these other industrial applications are going to lock up those things that are being pulled out. Now, if we're talking about radiation, we've got to look at different solutions to where we're going to put that hemp until the soil is clean. But yeah, I mean, it's in some places it's kind of a cleanup process of the soil, and hemp is a wonderful tool to do that. And you just have to be very conscious about intensive testing of the extracts to make sure that you're not going to put anything detrimental into a product to be consumed.
Absolutely. So don't buy any CBD products made from hemp farmed in Chernobyl.
Yeah,
That's our lesson for the day. Yes. Okay. So one individual asked, what's the best way to source hemp seeds for planting? So if someone wanted to plant, and then there's kind of a follow-up question to this, is there specialized equipment that's needed? Could someone grow hemp in their home or outside their home?
Sure. It's definitely very feasible to grow, a few plants at home. I wouldn't discourage that by any means. I don't think it really requires any special equipment beyond what normal food gardening does. You need a place to start the plants early in the spring so that they can get well established before they're transplanted outdoors. But that can be provided for pretty easily. Just a warm place with some good lighting. And then, of course, hardening the plants off for the transition to the outdoor environment. But equipment, no. I mean, equipment really comes into the picture when you're talking about scaled production. Then it becomes very necessary in order to handle the sheer volume of hemp that's being grown. When it comes to seed, you definitely want to know a couple things. You want to know about the spectrum that the plant has. Going back to what we talked about, the best products are going to have those spectrums, including the minor cannabinoids. So you're going to want to look for that. You're going to want to know about the THC level that the plant produces is extremely important, because a fair amount of the varieties available, it's very possible for them to go above the 0.3% THC limit if taken to full term. So you want to be pretty sure about what to expect on that avenue. And then you want to know about the sex of the plants. So the feminized seed technology, well, feminized seed is essentially seed that's treated to be entirely female. And that ensures that you're not going to have males come out and pollinate the crop, which will significantly reduce the yield and quality of the flowers grown. So the feminizing technology and techniques have gotten better, but there is still a lot of feminized seed available that will have either hermaphrodites or male plants pop out. So it's important to be very careful about that and watch them as they're flipping from their vegetative growth stage into their flowering stage, and they're starting to put on their reproductive parts. It's not very difficult when you're looking at only 5-6 plants. It becomes difficult when you have a field full and you can't look at every one every day, because it very quickly will go from not showing any sexual parts to putting out pollen sacs and releasing millions of grains of pollen. So you have to watch close about that if you aren't absolutely sure that they're all going to come out female. So those are the big concerns. If you know somebody that you feel confident can answer those questions properly, great. One that I would recommend is a company called Oregon CBD, and they have a seed website now called gtrseeds.com, and they do sell very small amounts of seed for people who just want to grow a little bit in their backyard. So that is a great way to go.
Well, very cool. Thanks for that tip too. I know that's sometimes a question that we get at Realm of Caring, and it's just it's difficult to know, of course, what companies to trust and what's going to be of quality. So that's great insight coming from you. And if we can switch gears a little bit to the minor cannabinoid side of things, one of the great things about our alignment in Realm of Caring, being able to talk to clients about NuuMe products is the fact that you have CBGA, CBG, CBN, you have these different cannabinoids, larger profiles than just CBD. And so we're seeing through research that there's many different benefits that these could provide. And so one of them is CBN, and it's gained a lot of interest. And so some questions that came in were geared towards CBN, and one individual asked, must CBN be used in tandem with THC to produce euphoria? So is CBN non-euphoric on its own and only euphoric in the presence of larger amounts of THC?
Yeah, in my experience and the feedback that we've gotten from customers, as well as what I've seen online, it really only takes on that euphoric trait when it is in combination with THC. When it's combined with CBD and even a full spectrum CBD like our product has, it really just gives a very heavy feeling, is kind of the best way to describe it. Is you just don't want to get up and do anything, which is very helpful in getting some rest.
Of course.
So yeah, I don't think it produces euphoria in combination with other cannabinoids, and definitely not on its own.
Yeah, we hear the same as well. And yeah, that heavy feeling can be welcome when you have, when you're in your body, you just can't move or you can't stop moving at the end of the day, and just, get yourself to level out, calm down so you can go to sleep or just rest. So that
Absolutely.
is good to hear. That's good feedback. And so are you aware of other additional benefits? We hear CBN for sleep. Are there benefits that might be, mirrors what CBD has to offer or enhance what CBD has to offer? Is there, benefit to using CBN in combination with CBD? What have you found, or what feedback have you received from your customers?
Yeah, I believe in nearly all cases, it's going to be beneficial to combine it with CBD and, full spectrum CBD dominant type of extracts, largely for reasons mentioned previously, that the fuller spectrums pretty much always produce the best effects because, a lot of the effects that CBN is starting to be shown to be good for are also things that CBD and other cannabinoids do. And so them working together for the common goal is usually the best way. It's kind of, attacking the problem from multiple angles. So definitely sleep. Pain relief is something that we've actually gotten reported on CBN, is a lot of people that deal with chronic pain and then they are trying the CBN CBD product. They say their pain is just gone, and that really contributes to its ability to help with getting good sleep. It has been shown to be effective for some topical or some skin conditions, and there is good reason to use it topically. Although we haven't made a topical CBN product as of yet. We're certainly considering it, but there is some possible application for that. And then also I've seen some research related to its anticonvulsant effects and seizures. And, all of these things are going to be helped by having the CBD along with it. The one that I would say is an exception is for appetite, because CBD sometimes is observed to have appetite suppressant effects. CBN has been observed to have some appetite increasing effects. So that's the one where I would say if you're trying to increase appetite non-psychoactively, then CBN without CBD is probably the best route.
Yeah, that's great. And you touched on this part too. So when it comes to topical use, there might be potential benefits. And this could, I guess, this one question was asking CBN specifically, but this could transfer to all cannabinoids, that they're different, modes of administration. So internally, externally, but there is potential for topical administration to provide benefit as well. Like when it comes to pain, maybe inflammation, if it's related.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the skin related conditions and for pain relief, I think are the biggest applications where topical is great. When it's something's happening just in a localized spot and it's not a global problem, then it's best to put it right where the problem is.
Well, great. I think we're getting towards, so we're at the end of our questions from our community, but because you have, you're a visionary, you're able to look ahead and plan and see, I'm just wondering, for my benefit, where do you see the future of hemp going? Do you see more people adopting these, more sustainable regenerative practices? Do you see more cannabinoids popping up? What do you see? What does Dexter Labs see as a future for hemp?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely see more adoption of regenerative practices, even where we are, where it's fairly dominated by conventional agriculture. I slowly see each year more people adopting, taking steps towards regenerative systems, which is wonderful to see. And then when it comes to cannabinoids, it's an interesting landscape these days with all of these manufactured cannabinoids that have become available. We don't really take part in these manufactured cannabinoids, as you can tell by how I spoke about extraction. We like to try and emulate nature as much as possible. We like to try and get the plant to reach its true potential of active compounds, of therapeutic compounds, and then use our process to extract all of that and deliver that all in one package. I've always felt that emulating nature is the best approach, not trying to outsmart nature, not trying to pull it apart and re-engineer it, but to work with nature and to emulate it.
That's beautiful. And I feel like I need to go out and plant something now and do something for our earth. This is very inspiring. And I do have one question that just popped in. So if you don't mind,
No.
this individual asked, can you comment on the difference between taking cannabinoids as tinctures versus capsules? Which is a great question because NuuMe has both.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there is one advantage to taking a tincture, and that is to get some of the sublingual absorption. You know, things can be readily absorbed underneath the tongue, and so giving that tincture some time under the tongue before swallowing it can certainly help with absorption. I think it definitely helps with people that have compromised absorption in their digestive tract. And then when it comes to capsules, it's usually the feedback that I've gotten is that it's a thing of ease. You know, many people are used to taking, medications or supplements on a daily basis. And oftentimes those people prefer to have a capsule that they can put with the rest of their regimen and easily take that way. And it increases consistency. When it's easier for people to take in that form, that can be preferable because it's better to skip a little bit of sublingual absorption if it makes sure you're going to take it every day, and you might miss some days taking a tincture for whatever reason.
That's a really great point. Consistency is key. So if it's easier for you that way, yeah, go that route.
Absolutely.
Well, yes. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dexter, so much for your insight. I feel like this was a great conversation to have the week after Earth Day. Like I said, it feels very
Absolutely.
inspiring for, our future and, working towards to make sure that, hemp sticks around for the long term and, replaces plastics and concrete and all these other beautiful things that hemp can do. So thank you for joining us today. And then for everybody who's watching, I will download this and get it on our website. It will go out in our newsletter. So you can go back and watch it and take as many notes as I did, if not more. Thank you, Dexter. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Sasha. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.